Good afternoon. My name is Anita Mendiratta. I am the founder and president of Anita Mendiratta and Associates, special advisor of the Secretary General of the UN WTO, and very proud author of The Call to Leadership.
And Anita, thank you so much for giving Breaking Travel News some time here. You've literally just finished your press conference announcing the book here at the WTTC Global Summit in Kigali, Rwanda. Give us a bit of a précis.
It is a very special moment, and I'm thrilled that you're here, so thank you for joining. This is the launch of the book, and importantly, it's because of the fact that this is a book about leadership, and this is a community gathering of leaders. What many of the leaders didn't realize is that 11 of them, of the 20 in the book, are actually WTTC members. So Julia Simpson, the president and CEO of the WTTC, who is in the book, very kindly said that we could do the launch here, and I'm very grateful to her. It is a book about leadership. Yes, it's about the tourism industry. Yes, it's about COVID, but that's not the purpose of it. Those are common canvases that we can all relate to because we lived through it, and we were all grounded around the world, whether we're in the industry or not. And it's really about looking at the leaders around the world that stepped up intuitively and instinctively and took the lead to help us all get safely to the other side. I wanted to understand how they did it and why they did it. And also understand for those who didn't lead, which is absolutely fine, we all respond in our own ways, how do you work through that? So it's really a study of leadership at a personal level, as well as professional, small scale and large. So it's just really a chance for people to understand how they respond in a crisis and how they can make sure that the next one, because there will be a next one, we can get through stronger.
And how did the book come about?
It's a labor of love. It's as simple as that. I watched the world shut down. I've never worked harder in my life, like many of us in the industry, because leaders around the world were struggling. They were watching their life's work. They were watching their countries come to a complete standstill. And I just believe that Mother Nature didn't do this randomly. There's a reason we were all stopped. And if we waste the 2+ years we had to have all of our webinars and Zoom calls exploring what did we learn about this time and how are we going to make a better world, if we waste that, shame on us. So I wanted to capture it and get a sense of what are the learnings that we can take out of that 2-year period, 2-year plus, into the future as we rebuild the global economy, but at the same time, the leaders that we saw step up and really help protect our getting through, I just wanted to say thank you. It's as simple as that.
And how did you go about creating a book around leadership through conversations with leaders?
It was an interesting process because the leaders that I chose, they had to be leaders that I knew personally. I was going to get very personal with them, and they knew that. And so to be able to poke their underbellies very respectfully, it needed to be done in a way that was direct. So we did it through video, as we lived our lives through video. I started the process with a 180-second video that took them right back to the early days of the world shutting down, brought in the breaking news pace of the news going through, and just watching the first 2 years, again, very quick, but it took them right back. And I asked them, literally, my first question, and I'll ask you, we all have our COVID moment. We know exactly where we were when we thought, ooh, something's different this time. And I would ask, what is your COVID moment? And everyone knew crystal clear. And then we walked through how they responded as leaders. And then I asked them simply that they are wired to lead. It is intuitive in them. What moment in their life caused that wiring to set? And again, they knew whether it was a positive event or negative. They understood how their minds worked in a moment of crisis and why they couldn't not step forward. And it was beautiful. What they shared was intimate, it was personal. For the hundreds of interviews they'd done, I don't think anyone had ever asked, not just how's the airport, how's the industry, but how are you? And it was glorious. It was a very, very special time. It was very direct. But again, I needed to have that personal relationship with them, or you can't ask the nature of the questions that I did.
And how do you structure a book around that? Is it sort of chapter kind of, did you sort of almost deconstruct themes and topics and frameworks from those conversations, or is it more of a kind of series of interviews kind of in a book?
It's a lovely question, because the easy answer would have been 20 leaders, 20 chapters. But that would have been too easy, and it would have been, I think, a waste of the insights that came. So I divided it up into themes, and there are natural leaders that bubbled out through those themes. One thing I'm very excited about is the fact that as a leader in the book, they would have thought 2, 3 times maybe. They're all in it, quoted 6, 7, 8 times. And so I love when I go back to the index of the book and I look up the leaders and knowing that they're going to smile seeing how much they've been celebrated and how much they've been heard. But it's very clear themes. This is not a book that is a self-help guide. It's not a how to be a leader. It's simply understand the journey of taking oneself through any crisis, small, large, personal, business, professional, whatever it might be, and how do we work through so the next time we're stronger for it. But it was very much theme-based.
Give us an example of some of the themes, and also perhaps just bring to life some of those conversations that you have. What are the ones that really resonate with you right now?
Oh, indeed. Now it's going to make me cry. The conversations were beautiful. And when I look at it, when I ask people about their moment when they knew the world was in trouble, I think what really struck me was how vivid it was. Even though the interview was 2 years after the crisis began, they knew exactly where they were. It was almost as if they could smell what was in the air. They could feel the temperature. And that I thought was important, because the fact is that when our bodies go through a shock, because it is a neurological and then a physiological shock, we store that in our bodies. And what we store, those memories, can be triggered positive or negative. So whatever happens in our life, we have to understand if it's triggered, how do you then manage the response to that? That was very important. I loved watching leaders not realizing until the interview what was it in their life that actually created their wiring to lead. It was quite sweet when I would disappear as the interviewer. It was almost felt as if they were talking to themselves for the first time. That was really beautiful. And then what really struck my heart was when you actually look at the leaders and them confessing how hard it was. It was a 2-year sustained invisible crisis. It was exhaustive. No one can maintain that emotional cruising altitude. So for them to be able to say, I needed to be me and I needed to show up as me, was absolutely beautiful. And that's changed all of their relationships with the industry, with their staff, with their families. So that was quite rewarding. But there are also those that are quite proud of how they got through. They know it was lonely. They know that they had choices to step up or step out. And they know that they made the right choice. So even the title of the book came through the process. It wasn't there at the start. The starting title was Wired to Lead. And we knew it was a working title. And then out bubbled the call to leadership, because every single leader felt a calling and they couldn't not respond to it. So it was very special.
And what's been the feedback of those that have had the privilege of reading the book so far?
Profoundly humbling. I must say it was quite startling. It's quite scary when you put it out there, but it's been beautiful, because I think importantly, and as I hoped, everyone, me, you, everyone, we can relate to those times. We might want to forget them, we might want to move on, but it's in our muscle memory. And everyone is feeling, everyone I've spoken to and those that have officially reviewed it have been very clear in saying there are lessons here that we cannot waste by moving into fast forward. And that's been incredibly touching and, again, just deeply humbling.
And how has writing this book changed you and your approach to leadership?
Oh my goodness, I love writing. I didn't realize that, the depth of writing a book is a whole different exercise, and I enjoyed it. And I think importantly, as hard as it was, because it was very difficult and I had writer's block right at the beginning, I owed it to these leaders. They shared so much that if I didn't hand them back, even if we just printed 20 copies and I gave 20 leaders their copy, my work was done. So it's been a promise delivered, and that just means that I have no regrets. I'm just really grateful.
Any more books in the pipeline?
I think there is a sequel coming, there's no question, because there are many leaders questioning, so why am I not in the book? And again, it is one of those where it would not have worked if I didn't know them personally. But there are leaders now that as our world opens up again, we're creating new relationships. And I want to hear their stories. And importantly, they want their stories heard. So when the sequel will come, whether it's sooner or later, it will happen. And I'm really grateful for those who put their hands up and say, please, I need to tell the world what I did.
Well, we're grateful to you for giving us some time. The Call to Leadership, available on Amazon Global and Audible. Thank you so much, Anita.
Thank you very much. And thank you for investing you in this time and in this process. Thank you.